Brian Flores took a different approach than many of us have seen before. Very reminiscent of Roger Staubach.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler.
So that's why I have the Mavs winning in 7, and then Luka's just going to be Luka.
Hayward's absence for this game will be significant, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game turns into a blowout as of late.
The Golden Knights just can't pull it. I really think the Avalanche are determined this year.
They made so many moves and grabbed so many guys that they have to win a championship or at least make the finals. They were on our championship and bust.
Dallas has just been on a tear. I believe we can attribute that to Jason Robertson. Also, Jake Ottinger, who's really stepped in.
Kaprizov and the rest of this crew. Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props. He definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more. I definitely think this is going to be a great series, and I'm interested to see how much Kaprizov can impact the game as a rookie.
Yeah, and as a Cowboys fan, I have learned how dangerously good Aaron Rodgers has been with he can just thread a pass.
Is the Avalanche versus the Blues. I believe the Blues are starting to play some of their best hockey all year, and so they can push this to 6 games.
If Leiter's there, I'm happy with Leiter because I think he fits into what you were saying about a much quicker thing. But if Leiter's not there, which is seeming so, I say Jordan Lawler at number 2.
The same self. The only year he won an MVP was the year he cheated, which really should put something against that MVP. But
there will be a Rodgers playing for Green Bay, even though he may not be the quarterback. But it's still unknown there. Austin is giving me the dead stare, so I guess don't mention Aaron Rodgers to him right now.
A top 3 corner in the league in Jair Alexander, and pairing him with a really fast corner should definitely assist in their ability to guard anybody in their division and anybody in the league.
Hello, I am Ruby Ackerman, and you are listening to Outsider's Opinion with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week for January 21st. Today, as right before recording, All-Star starters just came out. And Trae Young was named, and Luka was not, so Trae Young is better than Luka.
Apparently. Yeah, the East starters are DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, while the West is LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, and Ja Morant. I'm fine with most of these except for Andrew Wiggins for obvious reasons. It should definitely not be Andrew Wiggins. Very questionable choice in my mind. It's definitely because of the voting. The Warriors fans decided to make sure he made it. But
what about Timberwolves fans? Maybe they want to give a good send-off to their boy, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, I don't know about that. They probably have soured relations with him. But I'm happy for DeMar DeRozan. He should be a starter. Trae Young, I don't think should be a starter. His team is not playing well. But yeah, besides those two, or I guess, yeah, those two, I'm fine with all of them.
Yeah, I really like Ja Morant. Ja Morant definitely deserved the All-Star starter over Luka because Luka has just not played well, and Ja Morant has just been incredible, and his team's been great all around. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with Curry. Trae Young is surprising, but most surprising is Wiggins. I haven't been keeping up that much with the Hawks and how they're doing. I know they haven't been doing well, but Trae Young. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe it's just because I'm not thinking. I'm thinking clearly. I'm thinking like I was thinking Kyrie, but Kyrie didn't play most of the season. Maybe who would you put instead of Trae Young for starter?
That's a good question. I'd probably put. Let me think. I'm thinking Zach LaVine probably. The Bulls are doing well. Maybe James Harden. I just those are teams that have playoff implications. They're up there with the playoff heavyweights, while the Hawks are currently out of even the play-in. So I don't know if it's the best decision to put a Hawks team that's currently 12th in the East in it.
Yeah,
as a starter. Maybe Darius Garland, too. I really like Darius Garland. Darius Garland may have been the starter on the Cavs team that's really outperforming everyone that expected what they would do.
Well, yeah, the thing with Zach LaVine, might push back because then that would be – because DeMar DeRozan was also a starter.
Well, I
So
mean, Wiggins and Curry were too, so it's not
that's
like two
true.
players from the same team can't be it. But
Right.
I understand your point.
Yeah. So that's my one thing, but I don't know. It's not like a terrible thing, Trey. It's just surprising. The terrible thing is probably Wiggins.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh
yeah.
yeah. Wiggins may have been able to make it if there were some injuries because he's not playing bad. I'm not trying to denounce Wiggins as a player. He's a good player. He's just not um, an all-star starter. He's not a top 10 player in the league, and it's kind of crazy now that he is an all-star. He's only averaging 18.1 points, 4.2 rebounds, 2 assists, and he is shooting well from the field, 48% from field goal, 3% from 3 point. He's shooting 40.4, but he is only shooting 67% from the free throw line. So very questionable numbers. I wouldn't have even put him as a normal all star, but I do understand him making it as an all star, just not as a starter. He would have to have been third injury. Okay, now we can bring in Wiggins, but yeah, not as a starter. That's just terrible.
Yeah. But that's just a little bit before. Now the main thing is coaches. So before the season, which seems like forever ago, we ranked the new head coaching hires of how they would do record wise this season. It wasn't who do we think the best coach is, the coach will be. It was who will have the best record, and which includes better who's the better coach, but also the team they inherited. So I'll go. My number one is Jason Kidd before the season, and even though I don't like the hire, but he's doing well. The Mavs have turned around, and so that turned out well, and I mostly chose it because of the players. So who is your number one, Austin?
My number one was Ime Udoka, the coach for the Celtics, and he's currently third amongst the coaches in record. So I was wrong, but at least he wasn't at the bottom. So I was close.
Yeah. And to update, Mavs out of all the list were the number one. So I right now I'm doing well with the Jason Kidd pick. Number two, this one is pretty bad. It is Rick Carlisle of the Pacers, who are second to last in teams record. I
Yeah,
really thought Carlisle would do better, but it just has not followed him. He hasn't done well, and they're thinking about trading players. So that really is a bad pick looking at it right now. But it could change. But just currently looking at it as we're halfway through the season, it does not look good.
yeah, halfway ish. Some teams are uh, pretty far past. Some people are pretty close, but we're around 46, 48 games played by every team around there. It's close to half, but yeah. The Pacers have dealt with a lot of injuries. I did not have Rick Carlisle that high, but they have dealt with a lot of injuries. So Malcolm Brogdon has been out for a substantial amount of time. Domantas Sabonis has been out. So I don't totally blame Rick Carlisle, even though I do think he is a part of the problem. My second coach was Jason Kidd. So I I thought the Celtics would be better, and it's a long season. They aren't too far behind the Mavs when it comes to regular season record. But yeah, I had Jason Kidd at two, but the real two is the T Wolves, which is pretty surprising amongst I would say most people. They have the same. They're 24 and 23, while the Celtics are 25 and 24. But during win percentage or accounting win percentage are 51.1. Celtics are 51.0. So that tiebreaker goes to the T Wolves, and the team that has screwed you over so much, Kevin, has seemed to making a rebound.
Yeah, they are, and we'll get to the T Wolves in a sec. Where I had them, they were pretty low. Number three is Wes Unseld Jr. From the Wizards. They are currently four as, so it's not too off. I wasn't perfect, but it was close. So he's just done a good job with the Wizards, and I know the Wizards have dealt with a lot of injuries and COVID stuff like many of the league, but they're doing well. So who is your third?
So my third is Nate McMillan. The Hawks have fallen off. They're currently 12th in the East, like I already mentioned before. And man, I was wrong about that one. They just cannot play defense, and that really hurts them. The worst defensive team in the league, according to rating, defensive rating.
Yeah, that surprised me as Nate McMillan was five on my list as the next one is Billups. But to talk more about the Hawks, I'm really surprised with what they're doing because they had an incredible run with McMillan, even though I think their defense was shaky at times. in the postseason because like they do have some defensive liabilities like Dan Gallinari. Trey Young isn't the best at defense, so you just had to make sure him, Gallinari, and I can't think of the other player. So that doesn't surprise me. It's just how far they have fallen and how quick the front office is like, you know what, sell everyone except, or we're open to trading everyone except Capella and Young. And I'm curious what McMillan's status is. Like, is his seat warm? Is it totally fine? So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it should be. You know me. I've said this multiple times. 3 years. I consider last year his first year, so this would be his second. Even though he wasn't technically the head coach, he really was for the majority of last season. So this would be his second year. And if next year he continued this stretch of bad play, I would be concerned. But no, I don't think his seat should be hot because he's still learning what his team is going to be capable of doing.
Yeah, I agree. I was just like, what is the front office? Sometimes front office makes moves that we don't think is the right move. So I was curious what they were doing. My fourth is Billups, who would be the Trailblazers. This one has not aged well, even though Dame has been out for a majority of the season. It's just Billups, controversial hire, and it just has not gone well. And I thought the Trailblazers would do better, but they're right in the middle. They're below the Hawks in what they are in the winning right now, the record wise. So, who's your fourth?
Yeah, so my fourth, now we're moving on to the Wizards. I was right about this. The Wizards are fourth amongst the teams. They're currently 10th in the East, and after a terrible 35-point blown lead against the Clippers, that really made me depressed. We're kind of falling off, but because of injuries and because of COVID situation, we've had a lot of guys miss time. So I'm still confident in Wes Unseld Jr., and I'm right so far. And if they stay fourth, then I will win that category.
Well, welcome to the club of blowing leads to the Clippers. It's a club of very few people, but we're glad to have you in it. Now we go to Nate McMillan. As I mentioned, I didn't expect them to rise all the way up, but I expect them to do well, and they really are not at it. And I think I'm relatively close to where they are. As we've already talked about their status, as you ranked McMillan higher. And now, what is your fifth?
Yeah, so my fifth is Rick Carlisle. So I had the Pacers a lot lower than you did, but still not low enough. The Pacers are really underwhelmed, and like you said, they're second to last. So I was definitely wrong with this. Luckily, I'm not as wrong.
Yeah. Number 6, Ime Udoka. Celtics, I didn't expect them to do well. And this was before the Dennis Schroeder signing. And that kind of was like, oh, I might believe in the Celtics. But it was very interesting with what the Celtics did. They promoted Brad Stevens when a lot of people were clamoring for him to get removed from coaching. And he did get removed from coaching, but he got a promotion instead of Ime Udoka. And he became the coach. And now Brad Stevens like monitoring the team. So I didn't expect them to do well because I was very intrigued with the Brad Stevens GM. I know coaches have done it before and they've done well at it, like Pat Riley and Donnie Nelson. And so it was just, so I'm close to that. They're actually doing better than I thought they would be, but that's who I had at 6. Who did you have at 6?
So at 6, I had Willie Green, the coach for the Pelicans. I did not expect Zion Williamson to basically retire midseason. So I can take a little bit of the blame off myself. I thought Zion would only be out 20, maybe 30 games, but like I said, we're 46 to 48 games. The Pelicans have played, let me go down. They played 18 plus 29, whatever that is, games, and that is way too much for Zion to be missing. I think that's 18 plus 29. That's 47. Yeah, 47.
Yeah, I'll trust you with your math. As I'm questionable with math when I do not have a calculator. Now we're on to number 7 or number 6. No, we're at number 7. I have Chris Finch, the Timberwolves, who are definitely exceeding my expectation. I just can't get it right. I think they're going to do better, and they meet them below. They go below my expectations, and I set them low, and they exceed them. So
it's almost like the Cowboys.
Well, that's true. But the Cowboys did score more points against the Niners than the Packers.
That's true, but they also allowed the 49ers to score less points than the Cowboys did, so this could go both ways.
Yes, But
Both teams lost. The Packers lost by less.
the Dak Prescott threw more touchdown passes than the NFL MVP.
That's cute.
Well, it's true.
It's true. Dak also ran away the game.
Yeah, that's true.
We can go both ways with this,
can.
but this is
thing
another team.
Packers are not winning a Super Bowl, and neither are the Cowboys, but the Packers are not. So that's happiness.
That's cool. Only one team does. Crazy enough.
Yes.
The Timberwolves are another team like the Cardinals for you also. Like a lot of times, you're just the opposite. If you're a betting man, you just gotta fade Kevin sometimes. But sometimes Kevin's right. You don't always gotta fade him. But
new me and new relationships with the Cardinals and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We are open to working out our differences, as we talked about in our resolutions episode.
Yeah, but the Timberwolves right now are the 7th seed. If this was a normal standard season, they would already be in a playoff spot. But technically, because 7, they could still lose out if the rankings stayed the same when they lost in the play-in. But yeah, they're second amongst teams that filled their head coaching job. But yeah, that my 6 was Chauncey Billups. I was close. The Trailblazers are one above my prediction, 5th. That's why I'm a little bit down about that. But the team's struggling from injuries. Dame, CJ, guys are out. A lot of guys are out with injury. Also, guys like Robert Covington are underperforming, while Anthony Simons is playing well. They're currently 10th, so they could still be in a playoff spot come playoff time. But right now, I'm wrong. I'm really close, but wrong.
Yep. Now, another team that I was close with was Willie Green of the Pelicans, but somehow the Pacers are worse than the Pelicans, even with Zion out. It's incredible. I am shocked with that, but I'm close, so can't get him perfect all the time. But I think he really inherited a bad spot, especially with Zion not being on the court. So, who you have at your second to last spot?
Yeah, this is definitely a great season for the Pelicans, considering all that they have had to overcome. They're very close to being that 10 seed. They're only half a game back a game and a half back of Portland. Portland has 2 more wins and 1 less loss. So they're really close. They're 11th. And I honestly think Willie Green has done a great job as a head coach based with the circumstances that he's been given. Do you agree?
Yeah, he definitely has. And he does have Brandon Ingram. So I think it's definitely don't fire him. Give him more time, and hopefully he gets his players, like one of the Stars players back.
That could definitely be useful.
So,
but yeah, my 7 is Chris Finch. This is my most wrong head coach of the Timberwolves. I regret a lot. I tried to trust you with them being bad, but they got both of us this time.
Yes. So learn from Austin and my mistake. Try to not anger the Timberwolves, because then they'll just listen to you and do the opposite. But now our final one, we both had Jamal Mosley. We were both right on that. I love Jamal Mosley. I wish he was coaching the Mavs, but he's not. But he's inherited, I think, a much a team expecting far less than what the Mavericks are expecting with Jason Kidd as their coach. So I think he's solid, and they do have some nice pieces, and he's just building up that Magic team for the future. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, credit to all the Magic's players. They play very hard, even though they're terrible. They're 9-40, which is not a good team. But I like their young players: Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner. I still think Markelle Fultz could become something. I obviously love Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter Jr. They have some good, promising players, and I think in the future with a great head coach like I believe Jamal Mosley will be, I like what this team is. I like where this team is headed.
All right, and then one final question is: out of the coaches, no matter record, which one has surprised you? Just like anything that surprised you, one of them.
I would say Chris Finch. He's the one I'm most wrong with. But even if I didn't have these rankings in front of me, I would still say that because the Timberwolves really regressed last year. I thought they played worse than expected, and he's a new head coach, and he brought it around to the good side. Like I said, there's a 7th seed, and if this was a normal season, they'd be locked into a playoff spot if the season had ended. But now they have to make it through the play-in if they do hold their spot. But I thought Anthony Edwards has progressed nicely. D'Lo's not playing as good as I liked, but Jared Vanderbilt's a very good power forward, great defensively. Cat's obviously playing well. I like this team, and I think that they could be a scary team to face come playoff time, especially for a couple games there.
Yep, self-proclaimed MVP of the league and self-proclaimed best big shooter of all time, Karl-Anthony Towns, with Anthony Edwards. Just poke some low fun at both of them. Now mine is probably Jason Kidd. Even though I was correct with him, I mostly thought it was going to be the Mavericks players just overcoming bad coaching, but Jason Kidd has really done well. I'm impressed with the defense that is like automatic. The sudden change in the defense as the Mavs are currently one of the best. I think they're the number one defensive rated team right now. They held their team under 100 points. There was a record of 10-0. They definitely did not follow it through with the last few games, but the defense and just the way the players play for Jason Kidd, he's really reinvigorated Porzingis, who had a terrible time with Rick Carlisle, and I really like the move of Jalen Brunson from the bench to a starter role. So I'm impressed with Jason Kidd being a good coach. I still would probably have Jamal Mosley, but he's a good coach for Jason Kidd, and we'll see how it goes. What do you want to add?
Yeah, the Mavs have been recently the best defensive team, but they're currently fifth when it comes to defensive rating, which is really the metric I like to use. But yeah, I've definitely been surprised. I did not expect them to be the fifth best defensive team. But Jason Kidd, I've really had issues with his offense. His offense is not great. The Mavs are currently 21st in the NBA in offensive rating, and that will be the downfall of them if this team does turn sour and they start losing games. But right now, if their defense stays steady and continues to perform like they have been recently, they could make a run.
Yeah, and then one more thing I remembered is Jason Kidd just unlocked Josh Green by just playing him, and so that's been
Imagine.
fine. That's been a really fun thing to see Josh Green as he's incredible. Well, he's not an incredible player. It's just seeing him play and he's good. Even though I'd probably still pick Desmond Bane, I think a lot of us would. But it's just not a terrible thing. But it's just good to see Josh Green doing well and a coach that believes in him. So that's one thing that's the coach that surprised me the most. Any final thoughts on the NBA?
I'm all good, but yeah, imagine unlocking a player just by playing him. Imagine.
Yep. So maybe
great
Rick
concept.
Carlisle does that with the Pacers, plays rookies when they trade Miles Turner.
Well, they've already played Chris Duarte, so he's learning a little bit.
How many games though? How many minutes?
Oh, Chris Duarte plays a good bit. He's probably their best player that's stayed healthy. Obviously,
Right.
Domantas Sabonis is better than him, and I would say Malcolm Brogdon is too. But Duarte has played, let me check just so I get this right. He's played 28.9 minutes per game in 41 games. So he has played a substantial amount, and he is a rookie. So I think Rick Carlisle may be learning, even though it may be too late.
Yeah, new year, new Rick Carlisle. And we'll end it on that. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.